Hello, wonderful people. Welcome to chapter 5. We are doing, this is video 3, and we're discussing elasticity. Nonetheless, we're still with the elasticity of demand here, and we're discussing how elasticity of demand impacts total revenue. So let's look and see. If demand is elastic, price and total revenues are inversely related. Because if demand is elastic, you're looking at lack of brand loyalty. The consumer is very sensitive to the price. The quantity purchased, the quantity demanded, the sales, the purchases, right? All of that is the same language. When the price changes, the quantity changes at a bigger percentage. There's too big of a reaction. So in this case, for instance, what happens if this company increases the price from $10 to $11? Now, logically, if you don't really have a very strong following, the consumer is going to feel the pinch and look for an alternative. And that's exactly what's happened here. So the price increases from 10 to 11. The quantity drops from 1,000 to 850. So we're looking at a significant drop of quantity against what's happening here with the price. Consequently, total revenues drop. See, price and total revenues are inversely related. When the price rises, over here it's rising to $11, the total revenues shrunk down to $93.50. Au contraire, the opposite of that, contrary of that, is demand is inelastic. If demand is inelastic, then the consumer doesn't experience quite as much price sensitivity. Even though the price here does increase from 10 to 11, the total revenues also actually increase. This is because price and total revenues are directly related. So when you have brand loyalty, or the consumer somehow is just willing to give you the higher price, then it makes sense to raise your prices. So in this case, raising the price absolutely makes sense. So for instance, there was a phase where Netflix raised their prices and their stock value went up. Why? Because even though they raised their prices, the price increase compensated for any reduction in subscriptions, and it actually meant more revenues and more profits, and so the stock value went up. But recently, because there's been different competition, more competition, cheaper competition, especially coming from places like Amazon, even Apple is competing, even though like they're really quite small in comparison still, with what HBO has been producing, with all the different productions that are happening, by various companies, including Amazon. This last time when they raised their prices, too many consumers switched away from them, and they had lost that loyalty because they weren't as special anymore, and they had way too much competition, too many substitutes. So in that case, when they raised their prices, their stock really dropped because their revenue, so it was up here. So the first time they did it, they were like down here, right, where the revenues went up. But this last time, it actually came down. So even for the same company, that can change from period to period. It depends on how much competition you have. It depends on the environment that there is. It depends on the income that the consumer has. And this is where income elasticity comes into play, but I'm not going to show you that right now. So this is where we are with the elasticity of demand. Now, there are determinants to price elasticity of demand, and I don't want you to confuse them with the non-price determinants of demand. Did you hear what I just said? We have non-price determinants of demand that we learned in chapter 3 that include things like income and the number of buyers, and the complements, and remember those? Yeah, this is not what we're talking about. These are the determinants of price elasticity of demand. Because some of the wording is the same, it's just that it's English, so if you change the position of the words, you change the meaning, don't you? So in this case, what we're saying is three particular factors, three particular determinants right here impact the level of elasticity. They are the number of substitutes, the percentage change in one's budget that one spends on the good in question, and the time that elapses after the price change. Sometimes even leading up to a price. I'll give you an example in a minute. And look at the way I worded them for you. The more of each one, the more elastic the demand is going to be. So when we say more elastic here, we do mean more elastic demand, and that's true of all of them, right? Okay, so more substitutes. If I was to say to you, how come at airports, I'll go down here. How come at airports the prices are higher, right? The food is awful, it's too high in salt, which is why you should just bring food from home. But Why is it so much more expensive? Because they're a captive audience. What does that mean? You don't have that many options. If you're looking, I mean, this is how they end up selling a banana for $2 at the airport and sometimes $3 and $4. It's just a banana and it's often way too overripe. Why? Because well, not many people are selling fruits. So you end up, they are able, you're a captive audience, they don't have too many substitutes, you don't have many places to go, you're in a hurry, so you end up paying exorbitant amounts. That's why the water is so expensive. That's why anything is expensive. But when you're not at the airport, a banana is not going to be $3 and $4. A pound of bananas is going to be $1.20, for instance. That's a whole pound, not one, and it's significantly cheaper. Why? Because there are way more substitutes in the form of other fruits, but also in other places that sell bananas that you can go buy, and you're not, in a hurry and running and trying to catch a flight. More substitutes, more elastic demand, which means that sensitivity that the quantity demanded experiences against the price increases. Two is how much as a percentage of your budget you're actually spending on something. And the more of it that you are spending of your budget, the more careful you are going to be with the price. This is like if I said to you, okay, if you're shopping for a house, will you spend more time shopping for a house? Will you take your time? Would you look at a lot more houses? Would you look at the market more carefully? Would you consider other neighborhoods? Did you just walk into the first house that you see and you go, yep, this one? No. You're spending too big of a percentage of your budget. If you think about that, in your monthly budget, your house can end up being anything from 25% to sometimes 40% of your budget. That is a gigantic percentage. It should not be that high. Just as a rule of thumb, keep it to 25%. If you absolutely must stretch yourself, do not stretch yourself beyond 33%, or you will feel like you don't really have much of a life. You're just working to pay the basic bills. But anyway, however, if you were going to go buy gum, you walk into the first place and you buy gum. Even if that gum is 5 or 10 cents more expensive than you know you can, like for instance, you walk into a gas station, you want gum and you pay $1.95 for it. You know if you went to Target, it would be $1.70. Do you put it back, drive to Target so you can buy it at 25 cents less? No. Why? It's too small of a percentage of your budget. It's a waste of time. It costs you more in gas than it would in a difference in the price. So we definitely end up being more price sensitive. We are more careful. We shop around more carefully. We consider more substitutes more carefully, the higher the percentage that we are expending on an item. And three, time. Time is also a factor here. More time, more elastic, and it works from both ends. Here's what I mean. If first a company changes their price, so they change their price today, it's not going to be just a day or two before they really feel how much the consumer has responded to that price. It's going to be several weeks later. First of all, not everybody comes in every day to buy. People sometimes see a price change, but they don't change their habits right away. I don't know if it has ever happened to you. Like you buy something, first time you might not even notice it's so expensive. You might not. Then you look at your receipt and you go, what happened to the price on this one? I mean, I thought it was like $5 a pound, and this says like $7.99. I mean, when did the price go up so much? Wow. First, you had to notice. Then the second time around, you still don't know you like it. You debate, should I look for a substitute? Okay, is there a substitute? So you might actually go to the store 2 or 3 times trying to buy this item before you finally buy something else. Either because you're not ready to switch away, you really like it, you haven't found a better alternative, or you haven't even paid attention that the price has changed enough. So companies know that if they want to know what's the reality of how much the consumer is responding to that change in the price, they do have to wait it out some time. The more time passes, the more elastic the demand is going to be. But also, abundance and routine and repetitiveness lowers the value of things. Sometimes just because you purchase something too many times is why you don't want to purchase it anymore. There's nothing wrong with it. Kind of like, I can't really buy the same fruits from my family every week. They will at some point stop eating them. They'll say, you gave me an apple every day last week. You're giving me more apples? I don't want to eat apples. So, have to kind of vary it a little. So that has to do with routine and the satisfaction dropping from it. But more time also leading up to it. If you want to go on vacation, this is now September and you're going on vacation in January. Well, you're going to kind of not rush and buy the first ticket you find, right? You check out prices, you wait, you check out multiple airlines, you wait, you're shopping around, you wonder if there's going to be a special sale around a holiday, you wait and see if that's possible, although with airlines, forget it, it's the opposite, prices go up, but you get my point. Maybe there's a lull time. We do know that on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, prices are likely, for the same ticket, for the same route, are likely to be cheaper than if you were to shop on a Friday or Saturday. So you just try your luck more than once to see. But what if you were leaving in 3 weeks? You call an airline, there is actually a seat on the flight you want to take at the time you want to take it, you just purchase it. You don't have time to shop around, and you're concerned that somebody else might get it. As a matter of fact, if you've ever tried to book a hotel room or a ticket, and you get that little timer that says only 2 hours left, you have 20 minutes to make a decision, the timer is counting down. You see what they're doing is they realize that the less time we have, the less elastic the demand is going to be, which means we are willing to pay the higher price. So they make us feel the pressure of time. The more time you have, the less elastic, the more elastic the demand is going to be, and therefore you are not quite as willing to pay the higher prices. So these are the 3 determinants of price elasticity of demand. More substitutes, more elastic demand. Higher percentage of budget, more elastic demand. More time, more elastic demand. Okay, I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to pick it up in video 4 where we go into the elasticity of supply.